All right, everyone. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about how TNON went up to nearly $130 pre-market this morning, from a low of about $3.50 to 130. That's just a cool 3,000% squeeze in about 20 minutes. Really unprecedented. It's one of the biggest squeezes in that short period of time that I've seen in a long time. Now, I'll caution you by saying that this is sort of the illusion of hotness. You might think that, oh my gosh, I wish I coulda, woulda, shoulda. When in reality, it got sort of jammed up and then spent all day selling off. So really, this became like a selling opportunity. This was not really much of a buying opportunity. And I'm going to show you the move. We're going to break it down, and I'm going to share with you kind of my 2 cents on it. This morning, I did take some trades today. There will only be one recap today. I did not trade in Thinkorswim. So the Thinkorswim challenge is unchanged today, $13,949.22. All right. I didn't see anything that I was in love with. One of the problems here is that it's a Friday. It's the end of the week. Usually companies don't put out great headlines on Friday. And although we had some stocks that made some huge moves early, like TNON, and this is obviously absolutely crazy, we had a number of other stocks that made similar moves, and then their charts kind of looked the same. Big pop at like 4 or 5 a.m. and then just selling off. So the volume was really to the sell side. This was just an opportunity for people to sell. So unfortunately, we didn't have anything that looked really good and that I felt great about for the small account. And I did trade in my main account, but I actually only took 4 trades. This is the slowest day so far of the month. But there's a sort of additional factor on that, which is that I am sick. And so I've got a fever and I've got body aches and I didn't sleep well last night at all. My kids are sick. My wife is sick. We're all sick. We've been back to school for like 2 weeks and we've already gotten, sick. So this morning, I was borderline like, I don't even know if I'm going to trade today because I really felt awful. I only slept for probably a total of like 3 hours last night. So I was like, I don't know. But then I was like, well, let me just check the scanners. So I pulled up my phone and I see TNON is the leading gapper up 900%, and it was at $34 a share. And I was like, are you kidding me? This has got to be a joke. So that must have been, I don't know, 6 a.m., something like that. It was kind of like somewhere around here. So I pull up the chart and immediately I see, okay, well, we got basically that straight up squeeze, which I usually call an algo spike. An algo spike, the market makers basically are not making the market. They're moving out of the way. Buyers are buying. There are no sellers, and the stock just goes straight up. And I'm going to show you the actual level 2 and the tape from this move so you can see what it looked like. But unfortunately, those types of moves usually don't sustain. Now, this was on decent volume compared to what it was trading afterwards, but even still, it wasn't able to hold. And what's interesting on this is that there was a catalyst overnight. So the headline on TNON, I don't know why this isn't synced up. So the headline on TNON was an offering. They announced a $4.5 million offering overnight at like 1 a.m. So why would the stock jump up after an offering? Well, I think what's interesting about this is that the offering price was at about $3.68 a share. And they sold 4.5 million, raised $4.5 million. So let's see. So 1.2 million shares at $3.68 per share. All right, so, and I've got the video here. I'll show you that in a second. So anyways, what sometimes happens when a company does an offering and the offering is priced basically at or above the current trading price, that's considered kind of bullish because it sets in a base. It's like, oh, well, the offering is in and it's at the current price. So usually people are hoping the offering will be lower if they're short, so the price drops. But they had the offering. It was right here at the current price of after hours. And then pre-market at 4 a.m., it pops all the way up to 5. Pulls back, goes up to 570, pulls back, goes up to 6 to 7, and then off it goes. So let's look at this live trading archive. Stefan was kind enough to let me share this with you guys here. So I'll show this for you. Okay, so this is one of our members at Warrior Trading. He just uploaded this and gave me the link. So TNON is on this level 2 window right here. So you can see right now it's at 711 on the ask, and the chart's starting to squeeze up. So 746, 758, 771, 783, 7 $8, 810, 835, 850, 864, 890, 895 on the ask, 932, 932 on the ask, 935, 990, 10, 11, 11, 15, 12, 13. Now, if you've never seen something like this before, this is when things get pretty wild. Now, currently it has 260 or 250,000 shares of volume. It is very thinly traded. And so it's 13 on the ask, now 14, 1393. There's a 12, 15,000 share buyer at 12, which is incredible. So now 14 on the ask. There's only one seller at 14, one seller at 15. Now it's 30 on the ask. $15 by 30. And there's an order. Well, it says 0, but there's some transactions going through. Now 30 on the bid. The ask is gone. There is no ask. No one, in other words, no one is selling. You've got a crossed market here for a second. 1662 by 36. Now 28.15 on the bid. And if you were short, it's almost impossible to get out. 31. Now there's no seller. There's literally no one selling, and now it's showing 130 on the ask. Isn't that crazy? So there's no one selling. So you can see this chart looks really weird. This is a very unusual chart. This really, I've only seen, this is probably the third or maybe the fourth time I've seen a stock have 0 sellers. Actually have only one seller or go to 0. That is extremely rare. What it actually tells us is that the market makers were not making the market for this stock. Remember that a market maker sits on both the bid and the offer. So the way the market maker works, and I'll just pause this for 1 second, is when they're sitting on the bid and the offer, what they're doing is they're essentially, just go like this real quick. So you've got the bid, you've got the ask or the offer. So, market maker sits here to buy, and then they sit here to sell. And so they essentially are engaging in arbitrage. When someone sells to them, they buy their shares. And then they know they can turn around and sell those shares to someone who's going to buy a few minutes later. And they profit from the spread. So a market maker sits on the bid and the offer. And by the end of the day, however many shares they bought, they will want to sell that same number of shares. So they're flat in the position. They just got to profit from the spread. But what we know is that these market makers use very sophisticated algorithms to make the market, right? So how do they know what price to keep the bid at? It's not someone sitting at an old-fashioned computer placing the orders. It's an algorithm. It's a computer program. So they're constantly moving their orders up and down based on actual orders that are coming through the time and sales. And there are stocks that are going to get so volatile where the market makers simply turn off their algorithm and they step back from that market and they stop making the market at all. So what we have here essentially is a stock where market makers chose to stop making the market. And so the only people that were selling, most likely, were actual retail traders putting out a sell order. And the people buying were retail traders putting out buy orders and maybe short sellers who were getting forced to cover. Now, the one thing that's interesting about this is that it had very high cost to borrow yesterday. And to be honest, I don't really know if it was a short squeeze, because if we look at yesterday's chart, and I'll just back this up for 1 second. Yesterday, TNON squeezes up to 12, but by the end of the day, it was back at 350. So if you were short, you won, right? By the end of the day, you could have easily covered for a profit. I don't know that there would have been any point in holding that overnight, but maybe somebody did. And maybe as it started squeezing up, it's possible that a broker or a clearing firm was like, hold up. We've got someone who's currently in 10,000 shares who's down $50 a share. They're down 500 grand and it just happened in 12 seconds. We've got to get out of this position. And then they put the buy order to buy, and now all you see is a big buy order on the bid, and there's nobody selling on the offer. So now we're back at 34 by 35, 36, 37. So you see, we sort of popped up there to 130, but it was just for a quick second on the level 2. There wasn't actually a quote that went through that high, not yet. Now it's 52 by 57, 57, 58. You've got a big spread here, 50 on the bid, 53 on the ask. Now you've got 120. Now no seller. Now back to 120. So how do you buy if there's no seller? And there it is, 120, right? So now it just tapped 120 and some orders went through that high. So this is, but then back at 60 on the bid. Excuse me. So this is a stock where you've got like a 40-cent spread and 40-point spread. And it's the illusion of hotness. You wouldn't have been able to trade this. Let's get real. No, I mean, you would have been completely I suppose I'll say that at the beginning of the move, if you'd been sitting here, you could have taken a long at 7. You could have taken a long right there at 7 or jumped in maybe at the half dollar of 750 and maybe even at 8. I might have done something like that. If I had seen this in real time, I probably would have gotten in down here. And then all of a sudden, when I'm seeing it printing 11, 12, 13, maybe I would have added like 250 share blocks. Like, let's just see, like, does this thing go to 20? And then once it's going over 20, it's like, all right, let's just, take some profit, hold on as long as I can. But I can't buy up here because I've had times where I bought up something like this and then it goes right back down to $7. And that's an unthinkable loss. So, you just can't, at this point, the only safe opportunities are pretty much gone because it's so thin. So that's why I will caution you not to get FOMO. And that's kind of what I was saying to myself. I was like, when I first sat down, I was like, all right, well, you know what? I don't know. Like, what am I going to do with this thing? I mean, clearly I missed the move. No, I mean, like it's got this huge move up to 130. But when I pulled up the chart, I was like, all right, it sold off, then it came back up, then it sold off, back down, popped back up, dropped back down. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know if this was like, some type of manipulation, if there was some firm out there that was like, we're going to buy up this and just jam it up. And I don't know, like, I have no idea, so one of the first things I check when I ask that question is it a Chinese company? But it's not. So, I don't know. In any case, an absolutely unbelievable squeeze. Maybe some shorts did get wrecked on that, but ultimately they probably would have gotten redemption because it just pretty much stair-stepped all the way back down. So my trades from today, I'm up $2,041.01. Like I said, when I first sat down at like 6:45, I felt not great, but I was like, I think I can muster through, and let's see if we have any news at 7. But at that point, we came up to 7 a.m. and we had this high volume selling candle. And I bought the dip down here with small size. It went lower. I stopped out and then I got back in and got a little bounce. So $345 on it. And I was pretty quickly like, you know what? This is sort of dumb. I'm trading the backside of the move, obviously. And although I thought maybe it could curl back up to VWAP, once I saw the level of selling, I was like, nope, I don't think so. So I wrote off TNON pretty quickly. And then when I looked at what else was on the scan, NOVV, this is another one, super light volume, very thin. SMX, this one, it just popped up in the last like hour. But pre-market, it also squeezed, sort of sympathy momentum at 5 a.m., but then it comes back down. So now I'm like, well, it's got to get back to the high of pre-market to kind of be, I could take a curl, but that's not the best setup. And I was like, it's a Friday and I feel like garbage. So I was like, I don't know. And so I was looking at these. I was like, are any of these suitable for the small account? And I was like, I think I need fresh news. These are all like they popped up at 4 a.m. or after hours. And I don't know. Like, I don't think I can trade these. So I ended up not feeling confident taking any trades in the small account, which was 100% the right move. Because honestly, if I took a trade in a small account today, I would have lost money. And look, I already said, I want to try to be as consistent as possible. I want to be locking up green days in the small account. So if there's nothing that's A quality, then I shouldn't trade. And to be honest, maybe Fridays, I simply won't trade in the small account. It's the end of the week. It's always a bummer to end the week on a loss, and Fridays don't usually have great news. It's true that we sometimes have a wild card. And I guess we had that today on TNON, but it wasn't something I could have traded. Now, again, even if I was sitting down at 4 in the morning, maybe would I have jumped in at 7:58, 8:59, maybe. Yeah, I suppose I might have, but that's not when I'm trading. And the problem is, a lot of times we see these spikes at 4 a.m., but just like what you saw here on that recording, they happen so fast and the spreads are so big that it's an illusion to think that you would have been able, like, how many shares could you have bought? This has 150,000 shares of volume. I mean, if you try to buy 10,000 shares, you're 10% of the volume on the day. I just don't think you even would have been able to fill that many shares. Now, look, if there's a seller, and this is also kind of funny, because if there was a 50,000 share seller, even if there was zero volume, you could buy 50,000 shares from that seller. So if there's a seller to match your order, then you could buy. But just because you get in doesn't mean you could easily get back out. And in this case, it just would have been, it would have been pretty risky. So whatever, small position, maybe woulda, coulda, shoulda, but most of the time what I end up seeing is that these spikes at 4 a.m. Don't hold up very well. They pop, they drop, and then the stock doesn't return to those levels. And a lot of times it becomes like a selling event where the whole day the stock just sells off. And that's where I get a little suspicious that, a market maker or some kind of investment bank or something, is sort of intentionally driving the stock up because they really just want to sell it. They want to sell shares all day long. So they're like, we'll buy up enough here to push it higher, which will create the liquidity so we can sell all day. So we call it kind of a liquidity grab where, you get that action. We've heard, hedge fund executives talk about that strategy. It's not, anyways, it's something that we know does happen in the market. So is that what happened here? Look, we will never know as regular retail traders. I suppose, behind the scenes, the regulators could probably see, whose orders were moving it up and this and that. But at the same time, if there were no market makers making the market, then it doesn't take much volume for a stock to go crazy. So yeah, kind of interesting there. I don't know that that's going to be something we should continue to expect, but a pretty insane move. So yeah, and then, WINT, this is a stock I traded. I made $1,600 on it. Another one that popped up here, and this is what most of these 4 a.m. spikes look like, if we're going to be honest. Most of them look like this. They spike up, and then they drop right back down, which is why it's really not safe to trade them. It's like a pop and a drop. But this one did curl back up, and I got back in right here, I didn't trade it here, but I got in as it curled up right here. And so I made like $1,600 on it. I had 2 trades on that one, and I had 2 trades on TNON. So 4 trades today, green on 3 out of the 4. So, it's a green day, whatever, $2,000. And I guess I didn't import my trades from yesterday into Lightspeed, but I did have my small account trades here. Small account's up $925, which is good. And the big account, well, I guess I got to switch to IRA. Oops. Now I got to filter. So IRA, and then we'll just do the month to date. But I gotta grab the trades from yesterday. So let me grab those real quick. So yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of, I'm just glad that I held it together today. I really wasn't sure I should even take a single trade because I knew I just headache, not feeling great. And this is the type of day where you don't want to overestimate your ability to do a good job. You don't sleep well, you don't feel well. This is when you can make a big mistake, and then you can get emotionally compromised because you're angry at yourself. You're like, oh my God, I'm such an idiot. So, that's the thing that I was very mindful of today. And I just said, listen, just don't do anything stupid here. You got a couple trades with small size. I got to show up as long as as long as I can. I want to show up for all of our members. You guys expect me, and so I try to, and I was able to today. But yeah, I just didn't. This was not the day for me to push it and take a lot of risks. So I did not do that. All right, so let's go to reports here. So this is where I'll be at for September. So September, oh no, I've got to go to September. So September so far, this month, it's like 20,000 probably. I don't know. Let's see. It's been kind of slow, obviously. Today didn't help that. No, I guess that's more than I thought. 36,000 gross, but the fees and commissions are going to be pretty high. Note, this is something worth noting. My accuracy, 57%. Right, so that's kind of a problem. We look at last month. Let's check the accuracy from last month. 70%. Average winner last month, $516. Average loser, $283. So then we compare to this month. Average loser. Come on. Did it already switch? No. Come on. Average loser, about the same, 296. Average winner, only 368. My average winners are smaller this month so far, and my accuracy is lower. So I really need to try to tighten up my accuracy here. And yeah, that's something that I've really got to focus on, because I've taken a couple of outsized losses, which were just sort of dumb. I don't know if there's anything here. I don't think any of that is super significant. I mean, just a little bit there. Days and times, afternoon has not been. I mean, this is where, just as a side note, I feel so dumb, because it's like, dude, what are we doing? What are we doing here? Like, look at your metrics of all time. Well, do you tend to make money trading in the afternoon or during power hour? No. Do you tend to lose money? Yes. So why are you an idiot? I don't know. I'm being a little hard on myself, but I got caught a little bit into FOMO. Fear of missing out. I saw a couple stocks like QH squeeze up after hours. Tried to get the next one, of course, failed, and so whatever. So I've got to kind of get back to basics, because that right there, that cost me, what was it, $15,000 this month, or at least 10 in unnecessary losses trading that time of the day. So, on a $37,000 month, that could have been $47,000. This, I have to take out the $900 from Thinkorswim, but it doesn't really matter. You get the idea. So yeah, that's a mistake. These cancel each other out more or less, but anyway, so I feel like I've got to get myself a little bit dialed in. I think it's also worth noting that statistically, September is not always a great month for me. So we look at year and month. So right now, let's see, September, given that we're only halfway through the month, it still has the potential to exceed most of the other months, but I've got to keep myself focused. We look at 2023, how was September? Yeah, it's actually pretty good. 2022, how was September? It's actually pretty decent. So 2021, September was slow. 2020, September was slow. 2019, September was bad. 2018, September was awful. 2017, September was terrible. 2016, it was so-so. So there's more of a track record of September not being good than being good. And that's maybe something I should factor in a little bit more as I'm looking at possible, trades to take and how aggressive I should be. But in any case, if we have good opportunities, if we have good stocks that are hitting the scanners, I'm happy to be aggressive. But today we really just didn't have much. And I saw some of you guys were trading SMX later in the early afternoon, and I was like, I see that, but I shouldn't. I just shouldn't. I don't have the cushion. I don't feel well. That would just be asking for trouble. And hey, did you forget? You suck in the afternoon. So stop being an idiot. All right. Well, I guess that's enough for me today. So I'll be back at it Monday morning. Certainly hope I feel better. But I've got 2 days to rest and recharge. And then, market opens bright and early Monday morning. So I'll be here. And I do have an upload coming over the weekend. I've already recorded it. It's already ready to go. So you guys can check that out. I do hope you subscribe to the channel, and I hope you hit the thumbs up. Those of you guys who are subscribed, if you hit the alert notification, then usually when I upload a video, in the first few minutes after I upload it, I check to see what the comments are and I respond to comments. So if you have questions for me, it's always great to see those posted, and I try to answer as quickly as I can. So thank you guys for being part of this community. And those of you guys who want to join us next week for a 2-week trial, you're welcome to start Sunday night or on Monday. I'll put a link out when I do my game plan for the week ahead, as long as I'm my fever's below 100 and I'll set it as 104 cutoff. As long as I'm under 104, I will record that for you guys. So gosh, I hope I'm able to. All right, that's it for me. I'll see you guys back at it on Monday morning.